What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing, back with another video. And I meant to do this video yesterday, but better late than never. So we got some interesting news in the sport of boxing, man. We got what's said to be the return of Adrien, the problem Broner. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited, man. I'm a big supporter of AB. I'm always rooting for this dude, man. And, the president, Showtime Sports president Steven Espinoza says they looking for sometimes in the summer, maybe late summer, maybe July. I was hearing there's no confirmed date, but that Broner is said to be back in camp training, for his ring return, for a summer return, potential summer return. Broner is a former 4-division champion. He's 34, 4-1, 24 KOs, 5'6", 69-inch reach. He fighting out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He's orthodox. Man, AB, has had a lot of inactivity over these last few years, man. He last fought, February 20th of last year, where he got a unanimous decision victory over Giovanni Santiago in a fight where people felt like he could have potentially lost. Me, on the other hand, rewatching the fight, I think Broner won a close decision, and he made the fight a lot closer than it had to be by simply not throwing enough punches. And that's really been AB's Achilles heel through the years, and any of his losses, and any of his 4 losses, even in the draw, it's a matter of inactivity and not throwing punches in the ring, low punch output, and allowing these fighters to outwork him. You never seen AB lose a fight because the other fighter was more skilled. You usually see him win the fight because they're either more disciplined, throw more punches, have a higher work rate, or something along those lines. He's not losing. He hasn't, in them 4 losses, he hasn't lost a fight because he was the less skilled fighter. That's never been the case, and that says a lot being AB. If he can only get himself to, let his hands go, he would be a much more dangerous fighter, and big salute and respect to AB. He did a interview with Vlad TV. Shout out to Vlad TV. He did an interview and he explained as to why he's gun shy and doesn't let his hands go. And he talked about the Marcos Maidana fight, mentally having an effect on him and how he approaches and how he, handles fights. And, you just can't do nothing but respect it. He was honest. A lot of people always ask, why won't AB throw more punches? And, I honestly believe that Maidana fight took fights off his career. And I think that changed him for the worse. I think that's one of the main reasons why he's hesitant to let his hands go. He's thinking too much about what's coming back at him instead of trusting the chin that he's had. Because since Maidana, he hasn't been down. He was knocked down against Maidana in round 2 and in round 8. And since then, nobody has really even came close to knocking him down. I mean, he fought Pacquiao. He won a whole 12 rounds with Pacquiao. He didn't come close to getting knocked down. So Broner has a hell of a chin. He just has to trust that he has that chin. He has to let his hands go. There's no fight that he can't win if he's letting his hands go. He's just that talented of a fighter, and which is why I'm excited and hopeful and optimistic to see him return, hopefully in the summer at some point. Before Giovanni Santiago last year, February 20th, he was coming off a unanimous decision loss over former 8th division world champion Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. That was January 19th of 2019, and that was a one-sided loss where AB just simply didn't let his hands go. You can't win fights if you're not throwing, and that simply was the case in that fight. And Manny Pacquiao cruised to, a lopsided, one-sided decision. And, AB lost his 4th fight in a fight that I definitely felt like he could have won had he let his hands go. Because, people might think I'm crazy. AB is a more skilled, more technically sound, and has a higher IQ than Manny Pacquiao, if you ask me. That's just my honest opinion on it. But, before that fight, Broner was coming off about a 25-month layoff, and that's a little more than 2 years, and as of now, with them saying the fight could be potentially in July, he's been off since last year of February 20th. So that would be around another 15-month layoff if he would have fight in July. And one thing I always preach heavily on this channel is two things that work against fighters. 2 of their worst enemies is inactivity and father time, man. And good thing to Broner's credit, he's just 32 years old, and he hasn't, outside of the Maidana fight, he hasn't really been in a war. You know what I'm saying? So even with the 4 losses, I believe Broner still has something left in the tank. It just all depends on which version of him is going to show up on fight night. If Broner is able to get himself to a place where he trusts in himself and his abilities, his boxing ability, and he allows himself to fight and let his hands go, he's just dangerous. He's a hell of a fighter. He's very exciting. That's why it's so frustrating to see him lose these fights, because I never seen Broner in a fight that he couldn't win. In these 4 losses, you would never heard me pick against Broner, regardless of what people may say. That just, I root for him. This is one of my guys, man. I rock with Broner. He seemed to be a real dude, and I'm just hopeful he could put some of these, outside the ring issues to the side and stay busy. And, it was once, not too long ago, he's basically asking, Showtime and Al Heyman to basically keep him busy because, if he's busy, he stays out of trouble. When he has idle time, he finds himself in trouble. So, if that were my fighter and I truly care about him as an individual, not just a fighter, I would try my best to keep him busy, keep him active, keep him in the gym, and keep him shining under them lights where he belongs, man. Broner's a hell of a fighter. You see, he had a big heart. He's a real dude, man. And I wish the best for him, and I hope he makes a strong comeback. Like I said, he's coming off another long layoff. You don't want to keep having, a year and 15 month, 2-year layoffs, in your career and then jumping back in it. You'll end up losing. And it'll be to somebody that had no business beating you. And I thought it was interesting, some of the names that people mentioned as possible opponents. And one of the names was Robson Conceição, who's 17-1 with 18 knockouts. 17-1 with 8 knockouts. And his only loss is a robbery loss to Oscar Valdez, who everybody with eyes know that Robson Conceição won that fight clearly and convincingly. They had to rob him and give it to Valdez for him to lose. So I think that could be an interesting opponent for, Adrien Problem Broner. Another opponent would be Brock Jarvis, who's 20-0, 18 KOs, but he's at lightweight. So, that's 135 pounds. Maybe that fight happens at 140, because I see Broner campaigning at 140. I think 147, those guys up there are too big for him, and Broner is just naturally not a big guy. So I think, if he can discipline himself to make 135, that would be dope. But if not, 140 is still available, and I think he can make some noise at 140. Another potential opponent was Hector Luis Garcia. The guy that just beat Chris Colbert. He just beat Lil B-Hop. He's 15-0 with 10 KOs. He not only knocked down Chris Colbert, he knocked him down and upset him. He pretty much dominated the fight. I think that could be another entertaining scrap for AB as well. Another potential opponent is none other than Lil B-Hop, Chris Primetime Colbert, who's 16-1, 6 KOs. He's just coming off his first loss of his career. He doesn't have a ton of power, and that'll be an entertaining fight for AB. Any of these guys on this list will be an entertaining fight because that's the type of fighter AB is, And the last fighter they mentioned was Roger Gutierrez, who's 26-3-1 with 20 KOs, who Chris Colbert was supposed to fight, but he fell out because he had some issues. And then Hector Luis Garcia replaced Roger Gutierrez, and we all know he upset the apple cart and beat primetime Chris Colbert, So, that's my thoughts, man, on a possible return for AB. Again, one opponent they did mention was Omar Figueroa. Maybe they revisit that option, and I think that would be a hell of a fight for Broner. I think that's a fight he could win as long as he let his hands go. That's just the biggest issue with Broner, just letting his hands go. But I'm excited for the news, man. Hopefully he makes an announcement soon and makes his ring return in the near summer. That's my thoughts on it, man. And for the return of, Adrien the Problem Broner, y'all get in the comment section and let me know if y'all excited for the return of Adrien the Problem Broner. As always, get in our comment section and let me know if I gave AB the Problem Broner his just due, because that's the only thing I do over here, Just Do Boxing. To the next one, I'm out. Peace.